Before we begin, if you enjoy real stories, stories about work, power, mistakes, and consequences, please subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you think. My name is Gordon Wallace, and what I'm about to tell you is the story of how 23 years of experience was replaced by confidence, buzzwords, and arrogance, and how that decision cost a company millions. Let me take you back to the beginning point. $12.7 million, that's what my replacement cost the company in just 11 days. Not in projections, not in future losses. Real money. Gone.my name is Gordon Wallace. I'm 52 years old, and I watched a 28-year-old MBA and her 30-year-old fiancé destroy a system I spent 23 years building. But I'm getting ahead of myself. For most of my career, I was a systems architect at Quantum Tech Solutions in Austin, Texas. Not the flashy kind of tech job. No keynote speeches. No LinkedIn posts about disrupting industries. I was the quiet one. The guy people forgot about until something broke. And for 23 years, nothing broke. Quantum Tech was a $200 million company. Millions of dollars in transactions moved through our systems every single day. Payments, customer data, financial records. And not once, not a single time, did we have a major system failure under my watch. While other people played office politics, while they networked at happy hours, I stayed late. I made sure the backbone held. That was my job. I lived alone. Divorced about 8 years back. My daughter was in her 3rd year at Harvard Medical School. Even with scholarships, it was expensive. About $65,000 a year. I didn't complain. She worked hard. She earned it. Still, at 52, I knew my margin for error was thin. Tech doesn't like people my age. They want the 28-year-old who works for half the salary and thinks confidence is a substitute for experience. I didn't know how right I was. Everything changed when Madison Ashford took over operations. Madison was the daughter of Howard Ashford. Howard had built Quantum Tech from nothing back in the 1990s. Good man, decent leader. But like a lot of founders, he had a blind spot. His daughter, Madison, came in fresh from her MBA program, full of ideas about modernization, disruption, and artificial intelligence. All the words that sound impressive in a boardroom and dangerous in a server room. She talked about clearing dead weight, about moving fast, about bringing in fresh perspectives. And I knew exactly what that meant. Someone leaked an internal email to me. One sentence stuck in my head. We need to purge the boomer mentality and bring in real AI expertise. I was 52, and I was the boomer mentality. The betrayal came on a Tuesday morning in March. Madison's assistant called me up to her corner office. Glass walls, city view, designer furniture. Madison sat behind her desk, eyes glued to her laptop. She didn't even look up when I walked in. "Gordon," she said flatly, "we're restructuring. Your position is being eliminated." No warning, no discussion. I kept my face neutral. "Who's taking over systems architecture?" I asked. That's when she finally looked up, and she smiled. "Troy Bennett," she said, "my fiancé. He's an AI and machine learning expert. We're finally bringing this company into the modern era." Troy Bennett, I'd met him at the Christmas party 3 months earlier. He was the kind of guy who threw around terms like neural networks and disruptive innovation, but couldn't explain basic concepts like load balancing. I'd done my homework. His LinkedIn showed he'd been a junior developer at a startup that folded in 16 months. Madison had inflated his resume to justify the hire. "I'll need all documentation, passwords, and backup procedures by Friday," she said, already looking back at her screen. "HR has your severance ready." "Of course. I'll make sure everything is properly documented," I replied, and I meant it. What Madison didn't realize was that she just made the most expensive mistake in Quantum Tech's history. Because documentation is just paper, it's a skeleton without muscle, without nerves. You can write down every password, every procedure, every diagram, but you can't document judgment. You can't write down instinct. You can't explain why one server bank always runs hot on Friday afternoons, or why the backup system hesitates under peak load unless someone intervenes. Still, I gave them exactly what they asked for. Over the next 3 days, I worked 14-hour shifts. I created the most comprehensive handover documentation the company had ever seen. Step-by-step guides, architecture diagrams, emergency protocols, every dependency mapped, every quirk explained. Perfect, complete, and useless if you didn't understand what it meant. On Friday afternoon, I met Troy in the server room. He walked in wearing designer jeans and a crisp button-down. Completely wrong for the environment. The confidence on him was impressive. "So, Gordon," he said, barely glancing at the binder, "I've been researching AI-driven predictive maintenance. We can probably automate 90% of what you've been doing manually." I handed him the documentation. "Everything you need is there," I said. "Passwords, procedures, emergency protocols." He flipped through a few pages. His eyes glazed over. "Looks straightforward," he said. "I've worked with way more complex systems." I said nothing. My last day was the following Monday. I cleaned out my desk, said goodbye to a few colleagues as I was leaving. Diane Patterson, our lead network administrator, pulled me aside. "Gordon, are you sure about this?" she whispered. "Troy asked me yesterday what TCP/IP stands for." She wasn't joking. I gave her a calm smile. "I'm sure Madison knows what she's doing, but we both knew the truth, and that's where part 1 ends. Because what came next wasn't a mistake. IT was a catastrophe. By the time I drove home that Monday evening, the parking lot was already empty. 23 years ended with a cardboard box in the back seat of my CAR. No applause, no speech, just silence. I drove my 10-year-old Honda Civic through the same streets I'd driven for years. Same traffic lights, same coffee shop on the corner. Everything looked normal, but my life wasn't. At home, I poured myself a drink, not to celebrate, not to forget, just to think. I'd done everything right. I followed every protocol. I'd left nothing undocumented. If something went wrong, it wouldn't be because of me. That thought gave me a strange sense of calm. Back at Quantum Tech, the atmosphere shifted almost immediately. Diane told me later that Troy started making changes on his second day. Not small ones, not cautious ones. Big changes. He talked constantly about optimization, about efficiency, about letting artificial intelligence learn the system. The problem was, the system wasn't something you learned in weeks. IT was something you earned by watching it misbehave, by nursing it through close calls, by recognizing patterns no dashboard ever showed. Clarence Wells felt it too. Clarence was 55, senior DevOps engineer, quiet, brilliant. He'd been demoted to make room for Troy's young talent. Alex Kowalski, 48, lead database administrator, was next on the restructuring list. They all knew what was coming. "This is going to be a disaster," Clarence said when we shook hands on my last day. "Maybe," I replied, "but I documented everything." That documentation became Troy's security blanket. He waved it around in meetings, quoted from it selectively. What he didn't do was understand it. He didn't understand that systems aren't static. They breathe, they shift. They behave differently on a quiet Tuesday morning than they do on a Friday afternoon when quarterly reports hit at the same time as peak transaction volume. But Troy saw code, not consequences. Over the next week, I focused on survival. I updated my resume, reached out to old contacts. The severance was decent, about 6 months of salary. Enough to cover my daughter's spring semester, enough to buy me some time. But time moves differently at 52. Companies smile politely. then hire someone younger. 11 days after my last day, my phone rang. It was Diane. She wasn't calling from her work phone. She was calling from her personal cell. "Gordon," she said. Something in her voice made me sit up straight. "Something's really wrong." I set my glass down slowly. "What happened?" "Troy tried to implement some kind of AI optimization on the thermal management system today. Now half our servers are running critical temperatures, and the backup cooling system won't engage." My stomach dropped. The thermal management system was delicate. One of the few things I never let anyone touch without supervision. It required seasonal calibration, manual overrides, experience. "What exactly did he modify?" I asked. "The thermal protocols," she said. "He said the original settings were too conservative. His algorithm could reduce power consumption by 30%. 30%." I closed my eyes. "You need to revert those changes immediately," I said. "There's a manual override in panel B7. It's in the documentation." There was a pause. "Troy won't let us touch anything," Diane said quietly. "He says reverting would be admitting failure. He's still trying to fix it with his algorithm." That was the moment I knew. This wasn't going to be a minor issue. Pride plus inexperience is deadly, especially in systems that move millions of dollars every day. "Keep me updated," I said. "And Diane, start documenting everything." "Already doing it," she replied. I poured another drink. Not because I wanted it, but because I needed something steady in my hands. 2 days later, Friday morning, my phone rang again. This time at 6:47 in the morning. It was Howard Ashford. "Gordon," he said. His voice was shaking. "Thank God you answered. We need you here immediately." "What's wrong?" I asked, even though I already knew. "The entire system is down. Everything. Customer data, financial records, order processing. It's a complete catastrophe." I walked to the window and looked out at my quiet neighborhood. "What happened, Howard?" "I don't know," he said. "Troy tried to upgrade something yesterday afternoon. Now the servers are overheating. Backup systems won't engage. Alarms are going off everywhere. We've already lost 3 major clients this morning." There it was. "If we don't fix this by Monday," he continued, "we're looking at bankruptcy." The irony wasn't lost on me. The man who let his daughter fire me was now begging me to save the company. "I'll need remote access first," I said calmly. "Then I'll decide if I can help." "Anything you need," Howard said. "Name your price." 2 hours later, I was staring at my laptop in disbelief. Troy hadn't just modified thermal management, he'd rewritten core infrastructure algorithms. Using some half-baked AI model he'd found online. It was like watching someone perform brain surgery. After watching a tutorial video, failures cascaded everywhere. Overheating triggered emergency shutdowns. Shutdowns overloaded remaining systems. Power cycles corrupted databases. Security protocols locked everything down. One mistake feeding into another. My phone buzzed nonstop. Madison, board members, department heads, even Troy. "Mr. Wallace," his message read, "I may have made some errors in judgment." Errors in judgment. By noon, it was obvious. Remote access wasn't enough. I needed to be there. When I arrived at Quantum Tech, the parking lot was chaos. News vans, panicked employees, federal investigators. When systems handling financial data fail this badly, the government shows up. Security waved me through without a badge. Madison met me at the elevator. Her designer suit was wrinkled. Her hands were shaking. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I thought I knew better." Behind her stood Troy. No confidence. No buzzwords, just fear. "Mr. Wallace," he said quietly, "I think I misunderstood the system's complexity. That's what he called 23 years of work. I didn't waste time talking. I went straight to the server room. Diane was there. Clarence. Alex. The temperature was unbearable. Alarms screaming. Monitors glowing red. "Thank God," Clarence said when he saw me. And that's where part 2 ends. Because what came next wasn't recovery. It was surgery. The server room felt like a furnace. Not just from the heat, but from the pressure. Alarms screamed from every direction. Half the monitors glowed red with critical warnings. The air smelled faintly of overheated metal and panic. Diane stood near the main console, eyes locked on the screens. Clarence leaned against a rack, exhausted. Alex was typing furiously, then stopping, shaking his head, starting again. They'd been fighting a losing battle for 2 days. "Show me what you've tried," I said, pulling a chair toward the main terminal. Clarence slid over. "Troy's code locked us out of the cooling controls," he said. "Manual override won't respond. Every time we stabilize one cluster, another spikes." I nodded and started reading. Within minutes, I saw the problem. Actually, problems. Plural. Troy hadn't just rewritten one system. He touched everything. Thermal management, load distribution, power cycling, failover logic. All connected. One bad assumption, multiplied 1,000 times. "This isn't optimization," I said quietly. "This is a cascade." No one argued. I worked methodically. Not fast, carefully. Like defusing a bomb, one wire at a time. Every change had consequences. Every decision had to be tested. If I rushed, we'd trigger another collapse. After 4 hours, I had the full picture. And it was worse than I expected. 3 days of customer data was gone. Backups were intact, but they were old. 6 servers were thermally damaged beyond repair. $15,000 each. Security lockdowns had triggered compliance violations, the kind that brought federal audits and massive fines. But the real damage wasn't technical. IT was trust. By Monday morning, everyone in Austin's tech community would know. Quantum Tech had failed. Around 8 that evening, Howard Ashford found me in the server room. He looked smaller somehow. Older. "Gordon," he said, "I owe you an apology. I didn't look up. I should never have let Madison make that decision," he continued. "You built this company's foundation, and I let someone destroy it. I kept working. I documented everything," I said. "I followed every protocol. The information was there." Howard nodded. "They ignored it." There was a pause. "What would it take to get you back?" he asked. "Permanently." I leaned back in my chair. I'd been thinking about this since early that morning. 5-year contract, I said. Chief Technology Officer, reporting directly to the board. Howard listened. Complete authority over technical decisions. I continued. No interference. He nodded again. 2% equity, I said. And Troy is terminated immediately. No hesitation. Done, Howard said. One more thing, I added. Clarence becomes Vice President of Infrastructure. Alex runs the database division. Diane becomes Director of Network Operations. Howard didn't argue. The people who actually know what they're doing deserve to be in charge. Agreed. That night, I worked until 3 in the morning. Systems came back online slowly. Carefully point one service at a time. As I was leaving, I saw Troy in the lobby. Security stood beside him. A box in his arms. He looked up at me. I really thought I understood systems architecture, he said. I was wrong. Experience is a harsh teacher, I replied, but it's the only one that matters. The next 3 weeks were brutal. 18-hour days. No shortcuts. Clarence, Alex, and Diane worked beside me. Competent people. Careful people. We rebuilt databases, replaced servers, implemented safeguards. No one could make system-critical changes without review anymore. But more important, we documented the failure. Every mistake, every ignored warning. It became a case study in what happens when confidence replaces competence. The media swarmed. Austin Business Journal ran the headline, "Tech Meltdown. When inexperience meets mission-critical systems." They didn't mention my name. They didn't have to. Federal auditors arrived 2 weeks later. The fines were brutal, over $3 million. Client losses were worse. 5 major contracts terminated. Nearly $9 million in annual revenue, gone. Quantum Tech survived. Barely. But it wasn't the same company. And neither were the people who ran it. That's where part 3 ends. Because survival was only the beginning. Surviving the crash was only the first step. Rebuilding trust, that took years. The weeks after the recovery blurred together. Long days, short nights. Federal auditors walked the halls like they owned the place. 3 investigators. No smiles. They went through everything. Logs, emails, change histories. The fines landed hard. Just over $3 million. But the damage no spreadsheet could capture was reputation. In tech, word travels fast. Conference conversations, private Slack channels, LinkedIn posts written carefully, but read between the lines. Quantum Tech Solutions became the cautionary tale. The company you pointed to when someone said, "We should just let AI handle it." Madison tried to recover. She showed up to every technical meeting, took notes, asked questions. But it was too late. The board no longer saw potential. They saw risk. Howard's disappointment followed her everywhere. He never said it out loud, but it showed. As CTO, my role was different now. I had authority. Real authority. No one second-guessed technical decisions because they'd read a blog post. We implemented strict change management, proper training, clear accountability. Innovation didn't stop. It slowed down, and that made all the difference. 6 months later, I was invited to speak at the Southwest Technology Conference. The topic was crisis management and system recovery. I almost declined, but Diane convinced me. "People need to hear this," she said. The room was full. CTOs, system architects, senior developers. I didn't talk about revenge. I talked about experience, about institutional knowledge, about the difference between documentation and judgment. During the Q&A, a young developer raised his hand. "Isn't good documentation supposed to be enough?" he asked. "Shouldn't any competent engineer be able to maintain a well-documented system?" I paused. "Documentation tells you what button to press," I said. "It doesn't tell you when not to press it." The room went quiet. That distinction, I continued, cost my company over $12 million in direct losses, millions more in fines, and nearly $9 million a year in lost revenue. That talk spread fast. Consulting requests followed. Companies worried they were making the same mistakes. Madison's career never recovered. Clients questioned her judgment. Eventually, she left. The startup she joined folded within a year. Troy disappeared from the industry spotlight. Word traveled. Last I heard, he was doing help desk work outside Dallas. Quantum Tech stabilized. Howard stepped down 3 years later. He sold the company to my equity stake paid off my mortgage and secured my daughter's future. I retired on my 57th birthday. They threw a party downtown. Howard gave a speech. "Gordon taught us that progress isn't about replacing what works," he said. "It's about building on it thoughtfully." After retirement, I consulted, mentored younger engineers. Not the arrogant ones, the curious ones. The ones who understood how little they knew. One asked me once, "How do you know when you're ready to make big decisions?" "When you've seen enough small failures," I said, "to recognize them before they become disasters." I wrote a book. Didn't expect much. It became required reading in a few business schools. My daughter told me one of her attending physicians quoted it during hospital rounds. That matter. I'm 59 now. I have a grandson. I play golf. Collect bourbon. Life is quiet. Sometimes I drive past the old Quantum Tech building. There's a plaque in the lobby now. Builder of foundations. Guardian of systems. I don't stop to look. I already know what I built. This story isn't about revenge. I didn't sabotage anything. I didn't set traps. I just did my job and walked away. What happened after that was inevitable. Confidence replaced competence. Buzzwords replaced wisdom. And reality corrected the mistake. The best revenge isn't scheming. It's being proven right by time. By consequences. And by the call you get early in the morning when they finally understand. I'm good with how it all turned out.